Sustainable Tree Initiative for Utility Vegetation Management Programs, and our speaker is Nathan Davila.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nathan Davila. I'm a certified arborist, and I practice utility and urban forestry throughout the state of California. I work for Davey Resource Group, and in 2021, our client, San Diego Gas and Electric, said they wanted to plant 10,000 trees in 1 year, right? And so a lot of what I'm going to show you today comes from that project as the example case. But really what I want to convey to y'all is that the basic elements you need to run like a large-scale tree planting program. Utility, municipal, whatever it is, I think it'll work. How many of you have heard of Right Tree, Right Place? All right, cool. So Right Tree, Right Place is essentially saying all trees have a specific place that they could thrive the most in, right? So an example would be a pine tree or a palm tree or a eucalyptus tree should not be planted directly underneath power lines, right? That's the right tree in the wrong place. And so if you're gonna run a tree planting program, that's the first step. What's the best species to put where you are thinking of planting a tree? Once you figure out that answer, then you have to go to your nurseries and make sure that they're giving you good quality trees, right? And so some nurseries are good, some nurseries not. A lot of times they try to grow the biggest trees as fast as they can, and you end up with really skinny, like big-headed canopies and structure that's not the best, right? You have to keep that tree on a support system, being the poles tied up and everything for a long time. So just making sure you have good relationships with your nurseries, producing good trees, and then whenever you do like larger tree planting projects, like for us, we'll buy 300 trees at a time for the city of San Diego, and then have a planting project going on. But before those trees ever get out into the field, we go to the nursery and reject trees that are not good quality. So that's another key important part of it. Don't just go and buy trees and give them out, right? So you have the right tree in the right place. Your nursery is growing and getting good trees for you. This is a motto we have. Anyone can plant a tree. Growing a tree takes time. So before we ever give people trees on this program we've been running, who's going to actually take care of that tree after the fact, right? Like something simple like a water berm. Like somebody has to keep maintaining that if you're in an area, especially on a slope, which where we live, it's pretty, topographical. Making sure those questions are answered, or even like at school, right? We've done a lot of tree plantings at schools, but who's the person on site that's actually going to take care of that tree? Shaking their hand, talking with them, making sure they're good to go is another really important part. So you have the right tree, right place, right? Good trees from the nursery, making sure someone's actually going to care for those trees, and then who are you going to give your trees to? Word of mouth spreads fast, plant seeds everywhere and foster growth. For us, we decided, SDG&E has tons of customers all over the county, millions, right? We didn't campaign this like massively. We kind of just took our time and went where we felt like it was best to go. So the first thing I did was went door to door in wildfire areas where fires had recently burned, and we wanted to offer trees back to people who lost their homes and/or vegetation on their properties, going to Native American reservations, hitting areas using like Calvin Virus Screen is this database that gives you, like tree equity scores, for example, and hitting those. We've gone to VFWs. There's so many places you can go. The message here is getting in person, shaking hands, looking people in the eyes, and be like, hey, I'm super serious about getting you this tree right now. You have to promise you're going to care for it. And then making sure that person actually knows about trees. So a consulting arborist or forester, it'd be really easy. I could see in a situation where you could have a project manager within a utility or municipality that that might not know too much about trees, right? And so being able to advocate properly for it. This is my favorite part of our program. It's the utility replacement tree program. So like I said, right tree, wrong place. If you have a eucalyptus tree a couple feet from a 12,000 volt power line, it's really dangerous for a tree crew to get up in there, and then if it touches it, you have a whole other problem that can happen. And so getting those trees removed is really important, and then being able to offer trees back is awesome, and I've seen really good results from that. The key point here specifically for utilities is making sure it happens fast. So we have one person that's the replacement tree specialist, and their job is to make sure that once the tree is actually removed, like within a month, get them their trees. Just, it depends on how busy we are. Sometimes they can do it same day, sometimes it takes a few weeks. Here on this picture is really cool. So in 2021, there was a row of eucalyptus trees removed, and so they lost all their privacy. That's like usually the biggest complaint. Like, I'm not gonna have privacy on my house anymore. I don't want to do that. But they did, and they planted 70 Laurus nobilis, which is bay laurel, and within 3 years it grew like 10 feet, and that's 40 feet off the side of the power line, so it's never going to come in contact with them. I thought that was really cool. They got their privacy back within a couple of years because they went ahead and let us do it. So if you do everything I just said, right tree, right place, making sure the nursery has good trees, you're talking to people face to face, making sure they understand how serious you are, then you can come up with a map like that potentially where over 3.5 years, we gave 38,000 trees. So you have utility vegetation replacement, municipal agencies, county parks, schools, tribal nations, wildfire restoration, and then the rest of it went straight to the front door of people's houses. And what we found is that to have a successful tree planting program where your trees survive, let the people plant it. Because if you have somebody dig their own hole, put their tree in it, spend the money if they feel like irrigating it, they're already invested. And so for our audit that we've done so far, we do a 10% audit per year, and it's randomized. So you just randomize the whole sample, grab the first 10%, and visit every single tree, or every single property to look at those trees. What we found for our health scores was that 80% are doing really well, excellent or good. You have 9% fair poor, and then 11% are dead. And in case you don't know, if you have a large-scale tree planting project, the typical ratio that you would expect is a 25% mortality. So we're doing really good, and I like that. And to run something like this, you have to have a team running it if you really want it to go properly and get the trees out and actually track it all. So making sure you have a program manager, an outreach specialist that specifically is there to vet people and see what right tree for them and how many they can handle. We have a replacement tree specialist, QC auditing, and then making sure you use some sort of data management, JS software to track all of this data and be able to report it easily. And finally, the coolest thing I've seen over the years with this program is how all different people, all walks of life come together for tree planting. Like, you don't care who you are or anything, let's go plant trees. And so in a world that's so crazy where you have war and financial craziness and so many things like out of our control and you really wish you could change the world, well, you actually can by planting trees. And so getting together and planting trees together helps make the world better together. So that is the beauty of planting trees that I've found, and I think it's pretty cool. Thank you. Yes?
How many people were involved to put 38,000 trees?
So the first year, for about the first 6 months, it was me. And then we have the system forester at SDG&E who was supporting the operations. Then it went to 2 people, so me plus the person doing outreach for everyone. And I took a step back from calling people and was in the field visiting properties. And then you have the other 2 people came on. But to answer your question, I think is to deliver all those trees, we use the nurseries. And so that's why having that relationship, like we're not eyeballing every single tree they give out, but we tell our customers, like, hey, if your tree is bad, like if it's broken or you see girdled roots or whatever, call us immediately because we'll go to the nursery and be like, hey, we need to switch that out. And so that keeps, and at first there was a lot of that, but it's gotten a lot better. So.
One more question?
Yes?
What's the average lifespan on a lot of these trees?
The average lifespan?
Like, do you know if those urban trees planted in this area? I'm just curious.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're giving out majority 15-gallon tree species. So, and in San Diego, you can grow anything. So literally the count is like 230 species that we've given out. It depends where you put that tree, right? So on a private property where there's 5 acres and there's a good groundwater source, that tree could live its whole lifespan. So if you put an oak there, that could be hundreds of years. I guess that's a species-specific question.
Okay, in the interest of time, we need to move on. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you.